What is up? What is up, awesome people of the internet? Guys, welcome back to another edition of Quita in the Mornings. My name is Quita. We are in the mornings, and we're going to talk about some women's hoops. So make sure to grab your tea, grab your coffee, grab your gallon of water, and let's talk about what's going on. What's going on in the world of women's basketball? And for today's show, we are exclusively talking about the WNBA. Because the WNBA season is almost here, and we've had some preseason games, we've had some cuts, we've had some stuff that has happened, and we are going to get into it in the stream. So thank you so much for joining in, and let's chat, guys. Let's chat. Okay. All right. First up, I do want to give you all a quick update as to the games that have happened already. So preseason started on May the 2nd. And we on that day we saw two games. We saw the Las Vegas Aces take on the Dallas Wings. That game was at Notre Dame. Me, Mama, and Daddy were there. The Las Vegas Aces destroyed the Dallas Wings, 112-78. Dallas has a lot of stuff they need to work through, and the Aces seem like a well-oiled machine again. Okay. We also had another game that happened on Friday as well. We saw the Chicago Sky go against the Brazilian national team. Now, again, guys, remember, this Brazilian national team is a team that does not have their WNBA players playing for them. And they are not with their coach. A thing to note about the Brazilian national team is their head coach is Pokey Chapman. Pokey Chapman is an assistant coach in the WNBA, which means that they were not coached by their head coach in Friday's game and in Sunday's game as well, because Pokey Chapman is with the Seattle Storm, of course. And then you also have the best player on the Brazilian national team, the biggest player and whatnot. That's Camila Cardoso. Camila Cardoso did not play for the. She did not play for the Brazilian team because WNBA teams take priority when it comes to scrimmages. And so that's something to note. They did not have their best player in Camila Cardoso. She actually played against them instead of playing for them. They also didn't have Damaris Dantas as well, who is a very good player as well. She's someone who, yes, is also on the Brazilian national team, but did not play with them as well. So that's the thing to know. When it comes to these international teams playing against WNBA teams during preseason, if there is any WNBA tie, then a player or a coach cannot participate. So no Damaris Dantas, no Camila Cardoso playing on the court, and no head coach. Well, you have to use an assistant coach as your head coach because your head coach is an assistant coach with the Seattle Storm. Put that in mind. Also, this Brazilian national team actually has some high school players on it. They have some incoming college freshmen on this team. This is a very young team. This is a very inexperienced team. And so the reason why I'm saying all of this is I just want to make sure you all keep this in mind. All right? When it comes to preseason games, yes, not a ton of weight goes against goes in those games in general, unless the WNBA team loses. Like, in general, I don't really pay that much attention to these games, and the reason why I'm giving you all this information is because I want you all to keep this in mind, right? It means less a blowout against Brazil than it does a blowout against any other team in the WNBA because of who you're playing against. Again, they don't have two of their best players. They don't have their head coach. It's teenagers, literal teenagers, some of which are still in high school, playing against WNBA players. So, keep that in mind, okay? All right. But with that said, the Chicago Sky beat the Brazilian national team 89-62 on Friday. All right. Then we go into May 3rd. May 3rd, we see the Indiana Fever play play their first of a back-to-back where the game actually went to overtime. It actually went to overtime, and they beat the Washington Mystics. That game actually felt like from what I saw, that game felt like a real game. A real game. Where they were playing. They were serious about trying to win that game. Ultimately, the Indiana Fever ended up winning 79-74. All right, let's continue on. Then we saw yesterday, we saw two games as well. We saw the Indiana Fever destroy the Brazilian national team 108-44. And like the funny part was like you could tell they were players on this Brazilian national team that were like fangirling over Caitlin Clark. I thought it was kind of funny. I thought it was kind of funny that like they were fangirling on Caitlin Clark. I thought that was pretty funny. Anyway, after the game, they showed some of the Brazilian players lining up to get Caitlin to autograph their jersey, which I thought it was cute. Like I thought it was like a cute little thing that young players would do. Like, oh, even though I'm playing against you, I'm very excited to play against you. You're so awesome. But anyway, I thought that was kind of funny. Anyway, that game happened. It was domination. Anyway, moving on to the Seattle Storm versus Connecticut Sun. And Seattle and Connecticut had a lot of players that didn't play for them. And that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool that like it was still a somewhat competitive game, even without some of the bigger players not playing in the game. Ton of players out, but anyway, ultimately the Seattle Storm ended up beating the Connecticut Sun 79-59. All right. Oh, they were doing the same thing for Angel? Okay. I didn't see those clips. So thank you, FaZe, for letting me know. Thank you. I did not see those clips. All right. Thank you so much, Shay, for the super chat. Says, got a shout out from Hayes at Chicago Sky Central for awesome content and get a generally good and nice person. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Shay, for the super chat, and thanks for the shout out. That's cool. All right, so those are the games. I just wanted to give y'all a quick update as to what was going on. But again, lots of things to get worked through. A lot of things to get worked through during training camp, and a lot of teams are looking at these games as glorified tryouts to see who they want to keep on their respective teams. Now, actually, like leading on to this rate, I do want to just talk about some of the cuts that happened after the announcement was made, or after the games were had. The Chicago Sky, they wanted to go into their first game of preseason with everybody playing. They did not want to make any cuts before that first game happened. They saw what they needed to see, and then they proceeded to make a series of 3 cuts. Now, we're going to go through those players and just talk about what is possibly next for them. All right. Okay. So, first player who ended up getting cut, her name is Tilly Boler. Now, a thing to know about her is that she was undrafted. The Chicago Sky ended up picking her up after the draft was over, and she signed a training camp contract. She is a 6'1" guard who was at Jackson State, finished off her college career at Memphis, I should say. I don't know why failing to talk today. And in her 5th collegiate season, she averaged 16.6 points a game, and which is overall a really, really good player. She played basically every single second of every single game for Memphis. This is someone who could knock down a 3-ball. And so the Chicago Sky did not draft her, but they decided to pick her up after the draft as a training camp contract. But unfortunately for her, she was not able to actually make the roster. And so this is one of those things where players, there's only 12 spots. And when a team comes in with 18 players on your roster, yes, there's going to be a lot of players who get cut. And I'm not surprised at all that she got cut. She just has to go overseas, work on her game a little bit more, and hopefully she can try again in a couple of years to try to make a WNBA team. As a rookie, especially as an undrafted rookie, it's very difficult to make a WNBA team, and she got cut. She'll be fine. She'll go overseas. She'll work on her game, and she'll get better. And then hopefully in the future, we will see her in the WNBA. But I'm not shocked at all by the decision on the Chicago Sky to actually cut Tilly Boler. All right. Next up, we have Sammie Puisis, who was cut by the Chicago Sky as well. Again, these cuts happen after their first game against the Brazilian national team. Sammie is a 6'1" guard as well. This is someone who can shoot the three pretty well. She was a 37% three-point shooter in college. She averaged 10 points and 3 rebounds. This is someone who was at South Florida to finish off her college season. And, again, the Sky did not draft her, but they decided to sign her as a preseason contract, as a training camp contract. But ultimately, she was not able to make the team, and she will go overseas and try to make some stuff happen that way. And then finally, the Chicago Sky decided to waive Arella Guirantes. Arella Guirantes is someone who has been overseas. And actually, she was a teammate of Kamilla Cardoso. And so that could be possibly a factor as to why she ended up making this Sky roster or getting a training camp contract to begin with. But again, she was signed to the Chicago Sky in February. And she was playing, at the time, she was playing overseas with the Shanghai Swordfish. That's the same exact team that Kamilla Cardoso played for. And Arella was pretty good. She's averaging around 18 points a game, 7 rebounds, 4 assists at the time that she was signed with the Sky. She's a 5'11" guard out of Rutgers. She was drafted in 2021. And she played a couple of games for the LA Sparks. Played with the Seattle Storm as well. She is someone who has been a mainstay on the Puerto Rican national team as well. And yeah, she was signed with the team for a training camp contract. Ultimately did not, hit the level that the Sky needed her to, and ultimately she has gotten cut. Not a surprise. Not a surprise at all. I'm not surprised by any of these cuts. We also have Mikiah Herbert Harrigan, who was cut by the Dallas Wings. This is for those who have been watching women's basketball for a long time. You all probably remember her as Mad Kiki for South Carolina. And Mikiah Herbert Harrigan she's a good player. It's just that I didn't see much from her in that first game. Of that first preseason game, and I was thinking, okay, well, yeah, they're probably going to cut her. They're probably going to cut her. This is someone who has sort of been in and out of the league. She was drafted in 2020. Ended up playing for Minnesota for a little bit. Played in Seattle for a little bit. Played in Phoenix last year. And ultimately, she is out of a team, and now she has to figure out where she wants to go next. Here's to hoping. Again, these players are getting cut now. They do have another week of training camp, and so it's possible that maybe another team picks some of these players up. I think of all the players who might get picked up again, maybe Mikiah Herbert Harrigan gets picked up again, possibly, because, again, she has a lot of WNBA experience on teams, and so we'll see if she's able to do that. We also have McKenzie Forbes, who was also cut as well. McKenzie Forbes is a player who, again, training camp contract. Just want to see what she could do with this team, but again, not much to be seen from her. They signed her to a training camp contract in February. She's a 6-foot guard / forward, and yeah, man, she got waived. So we'll see what happens. She was on the LA Sparks training camp roster in 2024, but ultimately she was cut. She did play over in Australia and New Zealand this past offseason, and that is where she was dominating in New Zealand, and then we ended up seeing the Dallas Wings sign her to a training camp contract, but ultimately now she is gone from the team, and we'll see if she gets picked up from anyone else. I doubt it, but here's to hoping that some of these players can get picked up by another team before training camp is over. Ghost, thanks so much for the super chat. Says, Quita, more teams or roster expansion thoughts? I'ma say roster expansion. Roster expansion is needed. Yeah, sure, more teams are great, but there's just so many things that are happening now, and it just necessitates the need for more players on each roster. There's 12 teams on each roster. Some teams, due to salary cap reasons, they only have space for 11 players, and it leads to awkward times as a GM because you're sort of like, you have to like plan for the future. Like, okay, here's my 12 that are going to rock out and make some stuff happen. But all it takes is one injury or two injuries, and you're like, oh crap, what in the world am I going to do? Maybe you have a little bit of money to sign a 10-day contract or something like that, but you're bringing in someone who doesn't know your system and is sort of last minute and whatnot. And so, yeah, they may be able to help out and fill a gap. But if you could have sort of developmental players, this is what I would love for the WNBA to have. Developmental players where each team has, 12 active players on their roster, but they could also have 2 additional developmental players that can be with the team in practice and at games, all that stuff. And they're always around. So they're basically like regular players on roster, but they don't end up playing in games unless a team activates them. So like you all may think of this as like in the NBA, they have, I believe it's called like 2-way contracts where a player would play part-time for the G League team and then part-time for the main team. So it'd be something like that, but there's no G League in the WNBA. I think some sort of way to have these developmental players, because one, it helps younger players get experience without having to just sit around and do nothing while they wait until overseas play gets ready to start. It allows for players in case players get injured, teams to be able to immediately slot someone in who's very familiar with what's happening with the team. It allows for a lot of stuff. Like it's one of those things where I think it would behoove the WNBA to make the decision to have 2 additional players on each roster that are designated as developmental players. Because there's a lot of talent when it comes to women's basketball, but unfortunately, not everybody can make that 12. If you make it 14, it allows GMs to be like, okay, this player is like almost there. They're not good enough for that 12, but if I can get this player in my system, if I can get them working with a coach to develop certain skills on them. Maybe by midseason they'll be ready, or maybe by the end of the year, going into next season they'll be ready. Right? There's so many players that the WNBA just loses every year. Every year they just lose because these are players who are good, really good, but just not good enough for that top 12. Or maybe they just don't fit good enough for that top 12. And decisions have to be made. Players get cut. And especially when you talk about incoming rookies, when you talk about fan bases that are like very excited about certain players and whatnot, and they get cut, it hurts the momentum of the WNBA. So I think overall, the WNBA needs to add two players to each team. If you want to call them developmental player, fine, call them developmental player. Maybe give them, maybe it's a reduced salary that they get, and you are having them sort of be practice players, having them sort of be with the team, learn everything, and if needed, step in, and be able to step in right away, knowing everything without missing a beat. So hopefully that made sense. Does that make sense? But yeah, I would love for the WNBA to invest in that. Yeah, like more teams are great, but these injuries are legit. Last year, we saw a lot of injuries last year, and the year before that, and the year before that. And it seems like these injuries are they're continuing to increase. The number of injuries, the severity of the injuries, and if you could have those two additional players on a team, that could mean a lot, especially as we head into Eurobasket. Eurobasket is coming. We're going to have a lot of WNBA players that are going to go overseas and play in Eurobasket. And when that's over, we may see some players come back injured. And then GMs have to scramble and figure out who to pick up. They got to pick up somebody on a 10-day contract or something, or a 7-day contract, to be able to field a roster. But if you had those two additional ones, you can just slot them right in. So, yeah. Because that fixes a lot of stuff. That fixes your rookie problem where all these rookies just keep getting waived, even though they're good players, they get waived because you just can't make it work with that 12. It helps with injuries and just sort of planning for worst case scenario that may happen. It just helps with just overall development of players. There's some rookies, there's some vets who are just like almost there, but they're not part of that 12. And so they get cut and they sit around, they go to a gym or whatever, but they, for the most part, sit around for the summer until international leagues start up, and then they go over there. But like, imagine if they was actually able to stay with the team and work. So I'm just thinking about stuff like that. I'm just thinking about stuff like that. All right. This is McKenzie Forbes. I couldn't find a Dallas Wings photo of her, so I just put her SoCal photo. Anyway, that's my random talk about that's my random talk about the wave of cuts and just where the league what the league is as a whole. We do need an expanded roster. Yes, we absolutely want and need more teams and all that stuff and whatnot, but we do need an expanded roster because that would help a whole lot. I'm telling you, that would help a whole lot. But we'll see. We'll see. The CBA negotiations are happening. The current CBA does expire at the end of this season, and so they are in talks. And supposedly Nneka Ogwumike is on it, and so we'll see what she is able to do about that. All right, next up to the final story of the day, we're going to talk about the A1 commercial. Guys, A'ja Wilson Nike dropped A'ja Wilson's A1 commercial. This is the first A1 commercial It dropped this past weekend, and I gotta say, it looks great. I was watching the commercial, and I was like, man, this feels very like childlike. It feels very it feels very like it feels like my childhood in a way. I don't know. That seems like a weird thing to say. But when I was looking at the one of a kind commercial by Nike for Asia Wilson, I just thought it was great. I thought it was awesome because like y'all remember, maybe some of y'all don't remember, but like when I was a kid, you know, we had these hand we had these like you know, things that we would do like 1 1 1 1 2 anyway, and anyway, we had a whole bunch of stuff like a lot of hand stuff that we would do, and that was all throughout this commercial. We also saw, you know, they would jump and rope and whatnot in the commercial, and I was like, oh man, that was a whole thing, you know. And so we saw clips of kids playing. We saw what looked like a step team that was doing their thing. We saw interspersed throughout that, we saw clips of 2 kids playing in a church, and then what looked like the grandma turned around and was like, "Y'all better stop." Like it was what's the word for this? What's the word? Nostalgic. Tracy. Yes, that's the word. Nostalgic. Watching this commercial. Now, this will not everybody who watches this commercial will get it. Not everybody who watches it will get it. But like watching it, I was just thinking about Miss Mary Mac, all dressed in black. Anyway, I was thinking about that. I was thinking about just like childhood. It was just overall very, very nostalgic. And again, not nostalgic for everybody, because not everybody like had that type of childhood, but like, you know, playing the hand games, doing the jump rope, playing in church. Like it covered it all. And then interspersed throughout that, you saw clips of Asia Wilson. And it's very clear what Nike's strategy is. Nike's strategy is to appeal to young girls, right? And it was kind of cool that we saw Don Staley in a commercial and whatnot, and we just it was nostalgic. It was like 90s. It was a great commercial. It really was a great commercial. Though I do understand that maybe not everybody will get the commercial. Maybe some people will be like, actually, I don't like this. Oh, this is confusing. This is whatever. But like, I thought it was great. I thought it was really, really great. Cicely said it's basically most black girls' childhoods. Yeah, I don't know about most. I know that was mine, or at least kind of. You know, because to be honest with you, like I did the hand games. I did not like jumping rope. I didn't do double dutch. I didn't. I will turn the rope, but like I could never do double dutch. Like single, yeah, single rope, yeah, I could do that all day long. But yeah, double dutch was not my forte per se. But like growing up, I saw girls doing that all the time. Like that was a huge part of girlhood, if you would, as a kid. And I thought it was really awesome. And like the fact that one of the little girls had Asia in beads in her hair. And like, dude, it was just little tidbits in this commercial that I thought was awesome. You know, I thought was really awesome. I thought was really awesome. Nancy said, not just black girls, we jump rope, double dutch, and the hand games in my neighborhood too. So it was all girls. All girls. Oh, that was Asia's grandmother? That's awesome. That's okay. That was awesome. Okay. So just watching the commercial, I just thought it was great, you know. I thought it was great. Lots of kids. We saw Don Staley in there, and in the middle of all of that, various cuts to Asia Wilson, showing her at her best, blocking shots, being powerful, and just really being iconic in a way. Like that's kind of the way they did this, this commercial, right? This kind of felt like the start of a movement that Nike's doing. That is very specific to the A1 brand. And I think it's awesome. I think it really, really, really is great. Also, a thing to note about this commercial is that it was directed by Malia Obama. She was behind the camera on this one. And to be honest with you, I haven't heard that name in forever. I was like, Malia Obama. Oh, okay. But she was a part of this. She was the director. She was the director of this commercial. And you know, she's in film. She's into film. I didn't know that was a thing. I really honestly didn't hear about her at all since they left the White House and whatnot. But supposedly she's a big film person. And she was a director of this commercial. And I thought this was a really, really good commercial. Again, now, I don't know. That's my thoughts. I thought it was really good. You know, it blended sort of old school playground energy. It had real life moments of Asia doing her thing. And it was cool. It was very, very cool. So yeah, that's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about the A1 commercial. I want to talk about how good I thought it was, how nostalgic I felt watching it, and just how it really just captured, you know, the culture as it used to be, like in the 90s and probably early 2000s. I don't know if kids do this. I don't know if they do double dutch now. I don't know if they do those hand games now. I don't know. But back then they used to do it. And I thought this was awesome. You know, this commercial is not just promoting a product, meaning the A1 shoe. It's creating a philosophy around the A1 shoe and how it's not just a shoe, but it's like a culture play as well. And I thought that was kind of cool. Smoke says this goes back further than the 80s and 90s. Well, I don't know anything about the 80s. All I know is 90s and beyond. I don't know. So some of y'all got to tell me. Y'all got to educate me about how far back some of that stuff goes. But I just know it existed in the 90s. Okay? That's what I know. Tracy, yeah, it's a movement. Yeah, it's a movement. And I think it's pretty awesome. So let's talk about these shoes in particular. Let's talk about these shoes because the commercial was supposed to promote her shoe line. And her first shoe, the A1 Pink Aura shoe. I've seen some places say May the 6th, but according to what website did I get this from? This was but I've also seen May 8th as a release date as well. So maybe in some locations it's May 6th, but May 8th. All right. For the Pink Aura shoe. This one is my favorite shoe. This is my favorite so far. This is called the black / hyper pink A1 shoe. This one has a release date of May the 29th. I'm getting this shoe. I'm going to wait until May the 29th to get this shoe. I don't want the all pink shoe. I want this shoe because I think this shoe looks pretty awesome. Okay. Next up, we have the Blue Fury A1 shoe. This one is going to be released on May the 15th. This one's pretty good. I like it. I just feel it's just too blue for me. It's just too blue. And then we have the white A1s, which they're calling Pearl. You have the Pearl A1. That one's also being released on May the 15th. Now, this one looks good. However, I don't really wear white shoes because white shoes get dirty really fast. So I'm not getting these. But we got the white, we got the blue, we got the black, pink, and we got the pink all over. All right. I think these shoes are cool. I think they're cool, but I am for sure buying these. Okay. I am for sure buying these. Yeah. Tisha agrees. P. Lewis says the Blue Fury is love. Yeah. Okay. So a lot of y'all like the blue. Okay. Diana says the A1 shoes is made in Asia, just saying, cough, cough, tariff. Yeah. I think all Nike shoes are made in Asia, but yeah, the tariffs are going to be a thing. So does the pricing change on these shoes? I think the 110 pricing has been out for a while now, so I don't know if it changes, due to the tariffs, or if maybe there's going to be something else. Maybe they're just going to keep the same price and just eat the cost. I don't know. But yeah, tariffs could be affected. Neek the Nerd says, I don't understand why they are dropping so many colorways back to back. I don't know. I like it. I like it because I think it gives fans who want to support several options. You get several options. Like, again, I want to support. I don't want the pink. And so if it was just the pink that was released, I probably wouldn't get it. Right? But now, and it's staggered, right? So pink goes first. Pink is the first one to be released. And on the 15th, we got blue. And we got white on the 15th. And then last, we got this black pink. So I like it. I enjoy. Yeah, Keena, I love the options. I do. And I think it makes sense. I think it makes sense. Yeah, because choice rocks. Yes, I agree. I agree. All right, guys. That's basically it for the stream today. I didn't really have that much to talk about. Yes, there is the stuff around Hannah and Olivia Miles. I don't know if I really want to cover that because, one, we don't even know what was said, and yeah, I don't think I'm down for just a whole segment on sheer speculation. I don't know. So I have to really think about whether or not I even want to cover that. We also have the continuation of our series looking at the various teams and what's happening in training camp. So that will continue tomorrow. So make sure to join me tomorrow for the continuation of that series. But today I needed to get done with the stream pretty quickly. So that's why I picked the stories that I picked. Anyway, that's it. I don't really have anything else to say. Yeah. There's nothing really left to say. So anyway, thank you so much for rocking with me. Thank you for your support of this channel. Make sure to hit that like button on your way out. This is cool. This is very, very cool. Y'all have a good day. Y'all have a good day. Y'all have a awesome time doing whatever y'all doing. This is Monday, so have a great start to your week. I will see y'all in the next one. Until next time, guys. Bye-bye.